Welcome to my channel, and I'm back with you once again with another video of Microsoft Flight Simulator. And today I will be covering the Flybywire Simulations Airbus A320 Neo. Today in this video I will be doing something different. I will be doing a round trip from one airport to another, and I will be taking you through the procedures after the landing, because in my previous videos I've never covered that. So today in this video I have actually tried to cover the round trip procedures. So how to make a round trip, and I hope this video will be of some good use for you, and you will be able to learn few things from here. This is you can call it for the beginners, or maybe one step above the beginner level. I will try to take you through the basics as well. We'll go through all the checklists, all the basics of the flying. But there is already a tutorial on my YouTube channel which covers this plane, Flybywire Simulations Airbus A320 Neo. You can just go and watch that video if you want to learn further. But somehow I will also try to touch the basics, and plus some checklists after the landing, which I have never done it before. So I will fly from Dubai International Airport. I will land at Hamad International Airport, which is in Qatar. So it's going to be a short flight from Dubai to Qatar. And let's see what happens. Hopefully we have a smooth flight and a nice flight. First of all, I would like to tell you how to download this plane, the Flybywire Simulations Airbus A320 Neo. Simply go to flybywiresim.com. You can find the link in the description. You can go to that link and install the installer. This procedure of installing this plane is already covered in one of my videos. You can also find the link in the description. So once the installer installed, I'll just show you how to update the plane, and then we'll move on from there. So this is the installer from Flybywire Simulations, and you can see that I have the updated version of A32NX, which is 0.7.3. This is the stable version. There was some bugs which have been now removed in this version, and currently there's also a development version available. If you want to try that, you can do it, but I will suggest you to use this stable version because there are no bugs in it. I have tried this plane many times and it's bug free, so everything is working perfectly. All right, so far everything is good. Just remember, before flying this plane and starting Microsoft Flight Simulator, try to open the installer and then find if there is any update available. If there is any update available, you can update the plane. Otherwise, you can just simply go to Microsoft Flight Simulator and enjoy the flight. But remember, before updating this plane, switch off or turn off your Microsoft Flight Simulator, or close the Microsoft Flight Simulator, and then you can update this plane, and then you can use it in Microsoft Flight Simulator. So here I am right now, as I explained it to you before, that I will be flying from Dubai International Airport to Hamad International Airport, which is in Qatar, and let's select the departure airport, which will be Dubai. Here we are. So it's going to be a short flight. I will not be making a flight plan over here in this screen because I will be using SimBrief for the flight planning, and I will tell you how to program your MCDU, that is the multifunction control display unit. So so that's it. It's going to be an easy flight, not a difficult one. Hopefully, and I will also try to cover some basics. Okay, so I will start off with any of the gates over here at the Dubai International Airport. So let's go to this gate D6 at Dubai. Okay, so gate heavy, gate A6, I have selected that. Let's use this option to change the time. We'll do a morning flight. Let's select 9 in the morning, because currently it's I'm not using the live time. I'm using the live weather but not using the live time because it's already evening, and I don't want to do a flight in the night because then everything is dark and you don't see anything. So we want to enjoy the scenery as well, and that's it. So let's go and fly this plane, and then I will tell you how to make a flight plan in the SimBrief and load it into your plane through MCDU. So here we are at the Dubai International Airport, and we have a good visibility of 12.84 nautical miles. Time is 9 in the morning. So let's go and fly this plane by fly-by-wire. So here we are. The plane is in the cold and dark state. So we have to start the plane from the cold and dark state. Then we'll go through the push-up, taxi, takeoff, flying the plane on autopilot, ILS approach, and then landing. So I will be covering all the procedures and everything. So if you're new to this flight simulation, I think you will be learning a lot from here, from this video, and you will be able to fly the plane and take it off the ground. First of all, just make sure that your AI radio communication is turned off. Because right now if I go through the startup procedures, the AI will automatically call in for the pushback, which will be a big interference in this tutorial. So that's why I've turned it off, and I will be communicating with the ATC myself just to show you through the procedures which you should be following in order to have a nice and smooth flight and all the procedures. So here we are in the cockpit. So right now you can see all the displays and everything is black because the plane is in the dark and cold state and everything is turned off. So first of all, we have to turn on the batteries. Just to give you the basics, you start off with the batteries. Then you go into the external power unit, which is connected to the plane, which supplies power to the plane. That is the GPU, which is known as the ground power unit. Then just before the pushback, we will start the APU, which is here, which is the auxiliary power unit. And before the engine is started, the plane runs on the auxiliary power unit after disconnecting from the GPU. And then once the pushback is completed, then we will start the engines, and then the plane will be powered by the engines. So this is something really basic I wanted to cover. So first of all, you can see these two buttons over here through which you can turn on the battery. Although there is also a checklist in Microsoft Flight Simulator which you can just simply go through all these procedures, and if you click this option, it will take you straight to the button. Let's say if you want to see let's say battery switches, so just simply click this option, and then if you click this I button, it will show you the buttons. So if you're having any difficulties in going through the checklist, you can always turn it on from here and you can go through it. But right now for this video, I will not be using this checklist, and I will be using it, what you can say, my manual checklist, which I have done it myself on the paper, because I don't know, during these videos it's a big interference if I just keep on switching between this. And plus there are many things which I've also skipped just to keep this tutorial very simple and easy for you so that you can understand. And it's really good if you know where the controls are. It's good to learn that. Okay, so right now I'm going to turn on the batteries. So battery 1 and battery 2, I will switch it on. And now you can see some options coming up. You can see some power, you can see some panels getting electricity, and they are up. Now I will turn on the tab. So in the default Airbus A320, the tab is not available in Microsoft Flight Simulator, but if you're using the Flybywire version, you can see this tab. Okay, so now I will go onto this option in the tab, which is ground power unit, and I will call for the external power. And if we jump out of the plane, you will be able to see the ground power unit getting connected to the plane. Here's the ground power unit, which is the GPU. And here you are. The GPU is now connected. As now we have the external power connected, we can turn on the external power. You can see this option over here, external power. And once I click this button, you will see all the things getting life, all the displays getting some life, and all the lights are now on, and air conditioning is on. So everything is now up and running. So with this, you can turn on the brightness of the displays, and plus you can turn on the lighting and everything in the plane. So let's say over here on this panel, right now as it's morning, you cannot see it, but still you can see some lights just getting lit up. And plus this is the PFD, the primary flight display. You can see you can change the brightness from here, and plus for this navigation display ND, you can also change the brightness from here, and you can also change some brightness of the FD display. So if you're flying in the night, you know where to turn on the lights and just see better during the night time. Okay, so this is it. What I'll do right now is this. I'll just tell you one thing, that over here this is an option to option for the GPS, which is the ADIRS. You have to turn these knobs to navigation. But before we do this, I'll just tell you one thing. Go to your settings and go to sim options and ADIRS align time. If you go for real, it will take 7 to 8 minutes or maybe 10 minutes for the alignment, because if the ADIRS is not aligned and it's not turned on to navigation, you will always see this error on the navigation display, map not available. I have not turned it on to instant, but I have turned it on to fast, which takes roughly 1 to 2 minutes. So just do this slight setting on your tab if you want, and then you can turn on the ADIRS so that the plane is getting the GPRS signals, GPS signals, not the GPS. I don't know why do I keep on calling it GPRS. In the previous video I also call it GPRS. Okay, so now it is set to nav. Now you can see this message coming on the display. ECAM display, the upper ECAM display and the lower ECAM display. You can say IRS align in 2 minutes. So it will just take 2 minutes for the alignment. Now you can see the primary flight display is also up. So this is a small adjustment that you have to make before doing everything. Okay, now as the brightness is done and everything, we have to make sure that we are connected to SimBrief. Go here in the settings and go to this option ATSU/AOC and enter your SimBrief username over here, so that your plane is or the MCDU of the plane is connected to the SimBrief. Because I will be using SimBrief, it's a very nice website. If you're new to this flight simulation, you will know that SimBrief is a very good website for flight planning, and it's got a very good integration with the planes in X-Plane 11 and Microsoft Flight Simulator. You can import the flight plans. You don't have to manually make the flight plans. Okay, so now what I'll do is this. I will make a flight plan in SimBrief, and then I will come back to Microsoft Flight Simulator and continue with the flight planning and everything from here. Now you can see the navigation display is up and running because IRS is now aligned. Okay, so let's go to SimBrief. This is the SimBrief for flight planning. You have to make your login, and it's free of charges. You can easily make it, and then you can make as many flight plans as you want. So once you have your login, you can make a flight plan. Over here, just enter your departure airport, which is OMDB, Dubai. And the arrival airport, which is OTHH, which is Hamad International Airport for Qatar. And here you are. Go to this option, airframe, and select A320N, A320. I use this airframe for the flight planning, and everything is now populated. You can see the departure runway from Dubai International Airport will be 30 left. I will be using 30 left for the departure, and arrival runway will be 34 right. So this is a good flight plan, and if you want to see the visual flight plan, you can see it over here. We will take off from this runway 34 left, and we'll be using this flight path, and this is the final approach, and then landing at 34 right, Qatar. Okay, so this is it. one more thing. Let's set the altitude. The cruising altitude for this flight will be 32,000 feet. Okay, so now the altitude is set, you can see. And just for the basics, if you are watching this video for the first time, or you're new to the flight simulation and you don't understand what a flight plan is, flight plan comprises of 4 things: SID, star, and then airways and a waypoint. SID is basically standard instrument departure, which is a procedure for the departure. You don't simply fly out of one airport. You have to follow certain procedures in order to fly out of an airport. And star is basically standard arrival, which is used for the arrival. And you can see that plane is not directly flying into the runway. There is certain procedure that the plane is following a certain path in order to land at an airport. So SID and star is basically the procedures for the takeoff and for the landing. And plus, from getting from one point to another, you have to follow airways and waypoints. So the black line you can consider as an airway, and these dots you can consider them as waypoints. So over here, this is the SID. If you are manually doing it, just remember this is the SID. We will be using this in the flight plan for the departure, and this is the star, which is for the arrival. This is waypoint. Everything in alpha values is a waypoint. So this is a waypoint, this is a waypoint, this is a waypoint, and this one is a waypoint. And all these with alpha numeric values are the waypoints. The airways, not the waypoints. So you take an airway to a waypoint, and then another airway to another waypoint. It's very simple. Don't try to get into so much complexities. This is just something basic. I'm just trying to cover all those points which will help you in flying this plane from one place to another and then come back, especially for the beginners. Every time when I make a video, I'm always keeping the beginners in the mind, as I am myself a beginner. Okay, so this is now done. In order for this flight plan to be ready, you have to generate this flight plan so that the Microsoft Flight Simulator can read this flight plan. So simply generate this flight plan. Okay, that's done. Now let's get back to the Microsoft Flight Simulator and continue with the flight planning. So here we are. Let's get to the MCDU, which is the multifunction control and display unit for Airbus A320, which interacts with the FMS, the flight management system of the plane. Okay, so over here, just first of all, go to this option, MCDU menu. If you cannot see this screen, then you have to click this button, MCDU menu. Press clear if you see any error over here. Go to options and go to AOC and go to SimBrief, and make sure that your username for the SimBrief is coming over here. If it's not coming, you're using it for the first time, you can enter it over here as well. Just go back. Okay, or here. Okay, now let's go to this tab and select this option, the first option, and from SimBrief, just bring this flight plan from the SimBrief. So OMDB O2OTH Hamad International Airport at Doha, Qatar, and you can see the departure is given at 1:25 because the time we selected was in UTC, so that's the difference. You can see the atmospheric pressure, and at Dubai International Airport, the temperature, and this is the alternate airport, OEDF. This is Dammam International Airport in Saudi. This is the company route. Just ignore that. This is the zero fuel weight of the plane with the passengers, and plus this is the wind from 294 degrees. It's 53. It's at 53 knots. And this is the cost index. Cost index is 28. Cruising altitude is 32,000 feet. I'll just give you basics of the cost index. Cost index is basically an index used by the airlines to manage the fuel burning rate of the plane. This number is between 0 and 99. The higher the number, the less fuel consumption. The lower the number, more fuel consumption, and the speed is faster. So if you're going at a fast speed, you are burning more fuel. If you're going at a low speed, you're burning less fuel. So every airline has their own cost index. So after the cruising altitude, when the plane is flying at autopilot, the plane will adjust its speed according to the cost index. Okay, this is the basic. You can still read it on the internet. It also took me some time to understand the cost index, but for the basics, it's over here. Now in the MCDU, go to ATSU and then go to this AOC menu. Go for the weather request. This is a very nice feature in this fly-by-wire sim. You can get the weather report. Simply type in OMDB as your departure airport. Click this option, the select key, the right select key, and you can see OMDB over here, and then type OTHH. And then send. Now go to this eCam, and I think within some time we will see company message written over here. Once the company message is written over here, we can simply go and print this weather report. So the company message is now here. Go to ATSU. This is something really interesting. AOC, and then select this option, receive messages, and this is the beta report. So you can see the weather report is here for OMDB, and you can see the pressure, the atmospheric pressure is coming, the temperature and everything is coming, 27-18 degrees. This is the highest, my maximum and minimum temperature. Simply click print. And there is this printer in this plane which prints out this weather report. This is a nice and interesting feature. The throttles are in full position. Just bring them back. This was part of my checklist, but let's see if the throttles are at the idle position or not. Yes, now they are at the idle position. Okay, so this is the weather report, and you can just keep it over here. So this was some of the basic thing I just wanted to show you. Okay, now go back to the MCDU menu, click ATSU, and go to the AOC menu, and go to this init press, and init data request. Just select this option, and you will see the flight information is updated, departure and destination, and everything is now coming over here. Okay, now just go back and go to this weight and balance. You can see the weight of the fuel is coming, how much block fuel you will be carrying, how much for the taxi and the trip fuel. Just refuel load, and you can see the plane is now refueled with the given fuel. Slightly off, but still it's there. And this is the passengers. Unfortunately, you just click this right button and it will take you to the WB page, the second page, from where you can select, you can see the passengers. Okay, now you can see the total passengers are 174, and in all the classes the passengers, and you can boarding start. You can see now the passengers are boarding. This is one of the feature, but for this we have to have a jetway connection, so that's why go to the ground services and you can call in for the jetway connection. You will see the jetway will be connected. You should have done this thing before. This is some of the error. I don't know why this thing keeps on coming up in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Every time when I'm flying and I'm trying to interact with the ATC, this option is coming. Maybe it's a bug. Every time it's disconnected from the internet. Anyhow, so now we have a jetway connection, and you can see in the eCam that the front door is now open on the left side, and the passengers are boarding. So currently it's 42, and so just to give some realism, and you can also stop boarding if you don't want more passengers on your plane. Okay. So that's it. Go back to your AOC menu, and this is it. You can ask for the weather report is already there. So this is now done. Now we will go to this option init, and from here I will select init request, and all of the flight information will be updated. And you can see the departure airport is here, the arrival airport is here, and the alternate airport, the flight number which it has picked it up from the SimBrief. You can always go and change it over there. Cost index is there, cruising altitude is 32,000 feet, and the temperature at 32,000 feet is minus 48 degrees. So it has automatically picked it up from here. Now we'll go to this option flight plan, and you can see this flight plan is populated over here, all the waypoints and the airway. Now we have to basically give the departure procedures and the arrival procedures. For this, simply click OMDB, and over here select departure, and then we have to select the departure runway, which is 30 left. Okay, now we have to select this the SID. As I explained it to you before, SID is basically standard instrument departure, which is the procedure for the departure from the airport. So let's go back and let's see what was the SID. Now over here in the SimBrief, you can see over here in the routing, this is NABI to F. So let's go back and let's find this SID in the MCDU. You can see it over here, NABI 3F. Select this, and that's it. Transitions, none. That's it. Click insert. So now you can see that this departure procedure is properly entered in the MCDU. Let's go over here and select destination OTHH and select the star and the arrival procedures. So I am landing at 34 right. Just navigate using these buttons, the navigation buttons, and you will see ILS 34 right and AFNA1R. No, it's AFNA1E over here, because after this waypoint we will be moving on to this star for the proper procedures to land. So we cannot find 1E, so no need to worry about that, because there is slight difference in the SimBrief and plus the options that you get over here. It's basically based on the AIRAC cycle, which is AIRSC cycle, which contains all the information of the waypoints and the flight paths. This information should be updated all the time in your flight simulators. In Explain 11, if you're using Explain 11, it is updated through Navigraph. You have to have a subscription of Navigraph, but in Microsoft Flight Simulator it is already updated, and plus in the SimBrief it is also updated through the Navigraph. Right now my AIRSC AIRAC cycle is updated till I think Feb or March of this year, so that's why you'll find a slight difference. If you want to have a subscription of Navigraph, it's not that expensive, but still you can have it. It's a recurring membership every month. You'll be paying some amount, but your AIRAC cycles and SimBrief will be updated. But if you're using Microsoft Flight Simulator, you don't have to worry about that, because these cycles, the flight cycles, are already updated and the database is already updated for this plane. So just click this AFNA1R and select insert. That's it. Now go back to the flight plan and let's check if this flight plan is properly updated or not. Just go to this plan mode, select plan mode, and set it from ARC to plan. You can see now the flight planning. Now if you go through the flight plan, you will see the proper route getting updated over here in the navigation display. Okay, so it is just like the one that we saw in the SimBrief. So now this flight plan is properly updated and everything is good and up and running. Just go back to ARC. If you use this range option for the navigation display, you can also zoom in and zoom out of your flight plan. You can see that. So if I go to plan, you can see now it is zoomed out. So you can just zoom in for a better visual and clarity. Okay, so that's it. Now I will go back to init and I will use this page, for init B page. We call it the init B. Now zero fuel weight and zero fuel weight center of gravity. This is already there in the tab. Zero fuel weight is given, and the center of gravity is also given, which is being picked up from the SimBrief. Click this select key on the right side, the first one, and you will see the zero fuel weight is 64.4 and the zero fuel weight center of gravity is 24.0. Click this again and it will be updated. Now for the fuel planning, click this option and block confirm. Now you will see the block is confirmed. You have the trip time, you have all the information and the fuel and the takeoff weight and the landing weight. Everything is now updated. That's it. And now we will go to the performance, where we will select the performance of the plane. Over here you will see this option. This is known as the flap/THS. Flaps is basically a part of the wing which extends at the low speeds to give additional lift to the plane during the takeoff, and during the landing it also gives an additional lift at the low speeds, and plus it also creates drag so that you can control your speed while landing, because during the landing procedures and descent the plane is going down, and due to this reason the speed keeps on increasing. So that's why you have flaps, so that you can create drag to control your speed, to reduce your speed, because if the plane is going down, obviously the speed is increasing, and plus to give additional lift at the lower wind rates. So this is it. Still, if you're new to the flight simulation and to the planes and you want to study more, you can just search over the internet and you can watch my other videos. But right now, just to tell you that the flaps that I will be taking for this flight for the takeoff will be 1. So I will type in 1 over here. Then you can see this format over here. There's a slash. So I will type in the slash, and this. And then for the basically for the pitch. Now just let me tell you one thing. For this option that you have seen over here in the tab for the zero fuel weight and the zero fuel weight center of gravity, there is a certain pitch and flap settings. There is this table which you can also see it on the internet. I couldn't find it. But you can find it, which gives you settings for your flaps and for your pitch during the takeoff, which is a table, and you can just find it over there. But for this video, I am just using 1 because I will be using 1 flaps, and I will be using 0.5 up. So this will be pitch up by 0.5. It's very simple. But you can find that table over there on the internet, which can tell you different flap settings and your pitch settings as per the zero fuel weight center of gravity. So you click this, then you will see another option, flex to temp. It's kind of the calculation is very what you can say a complex calculation, but the basic of the flex to temperature is this, that during the takeoff you give power to your engines at the full speed. Let's say this is the indicator and this is the power for your engine. So you give your engines a full power. Obviously if your engines are running at a full power, your engines get heated up, and it can be dangerous if your engines are heated up, and there can be an engine failure. So during the takeoff, you give this flex to temp, which is slightly higher than the outside temperature. Let's say if the outside temperature right now in Dubai, it's, if I'm not wrong, it was 28 degrees. Yes, 27 degrees. So the flex to temp, you can the formula. There is a formula to calculate that. You can also find it over the internet. But just to keep things simple, not to go into so much complexities, as I'm trying to keep it at a very basic level, your flex to temperature is always higher. Slightly higher than the outside temperature. You tell this your plane, or you try to just like give some wrong indication to your plane that we are at a high temperature, and due to this reason you cannot give 100% power to your engine. It's slightly less, so that the engines are not heated up. So right now if the temperature is 27, the flex temperature can be 33. There is a formula to calculate the flex temperature. You can just go and read that theory and you can do this, but for this video I'm just trying to keep it simple. And this is the basic of the flex temperature, that it's always higher than the outside temperature, slightly higher, and during the takeoff you cannot take your speed up to 100% power. It's slightly less, so that it is adjusted according to the outside temperature and your engines are not heated up. Now V1 is the speed is 136 knots, VR is 137, and V2 is 141. These are the three speeds. V1 is a speed during the takeoff from the runway, is a speed at which you can abort your takeoff, and you can always stop until the end of the runway. VR is the speed at which you have to rotate your stick and you have to take off from the runway. After 136 knots of speed, it will be difficult for the plane to stop. So that's why V1 is the speed at which, you know, if you still want to abort your takeoff, you can do that. At VR you take off, and V2 is the speed after the takeoff at which you can fly at on one engine if there is unfortunately any engine failure. Transition altitude is an altitude at which you turn your temperature of the the barometric pressure. You set it from the given one to the standard one. We will be doing this during the flight, so you can see that. And this is the thrust reduction, which is at 1530 feet. So after the takeoff, you don't keep on climbing at 95 or 98% of engine power. You have to reduce the thrust, because obviously, as I told you before, if you have given more power to your engine, obviously there are chances for engine failure, and engines are heated up. So that's why you reduce the thrust. Over here on the thrust lever, you can see there are certain settings. This is toga to go around. This is the flex. This is the climb, and this is the zero. Right now the thrust is at 0. So during the takeoff, we'll keep it over here at maximum at toga, and you will see the autopilot will automatically, or the flight management system will set it less than the 100% as per the flex to temperature, and then after the flight we will bring it over here to climb. Okay. So this was some basic information. I think this information is more than enough for a beginner to make a flight plan in SimBrief, bring it to your plane, and then from here you can do everything. Okay, now as this is all done, and the MCDU programming is done, now what I'll do is this. I will go on over here, and I will go back to clearance, and I will select this option number 8, which is request IFR clearance for instrument flight plan. Acknowledge that. So after the takeoff, you have to climb to 6,000 feet, and that's it. So what I'll do is this right now, just to be on the safe side, we will adjust the altitude over here for the autopilot to 6,000 feet. Now, one thing that we have to do is this: we have to turn on the fuel pumps. Okay. Now I will be just because I was just going through all the basics and everything, just to tell you in the ground service, you can always call for the catering, for the baggage, and for the power supplies. We call in for the passengers. You can call in for the baggage service and the catering service, but just to keep this video short, I'm just skipping all this part. But still, after the Jetway connection, we could have called for the catering, for the baggage, and for the power supply, and for the fuel supply. But right now I think I should not be taking too much time. I'll ask for the jetway to be disconnected. So right now you will see the jetway will be disconnected, and this door will be closed. You can see it on your eCam. So I will now be going for the pushback. But before this, you can see all the doors are closed. Everything is closed. Gears are down, obviously. You're standing at the ground. The flaps should be up. This is the flap lever. Let me show you. This is the flap lever. It should be up. This is the air brake, which the plane uses in the air for the brake if you want to reduce the speed. It is right now disarmed. You have to bring it up. Just left click and pull it up. And the air brakes are now armed. Fuel pumps are up. Now this is there's this one option that we have to check is basically the beacon. It should be on. Beacon is basically a light which turns on the plane, which tells the ground staff at the ground that we are going to start our engines after the pushback. So that's why the beacon light is, you have to turn it on. This is the seatbelt light, turn it on. Smoking, turn it on. And emergency exit signs on the plane, turn them on. Okay, now I have a logo, turn them on. Strobe set to on. That's it. Okay, so that's it. Basics. Now what I'll do right now is this. I will go for the APU. Okay, so this is now we're going to switch the power of the plane to APU, and once we have the APU available, we will turn off the external power and we will call off the ground power unit. So first of all, let's turn on the master APU master switch. You can see it over here, and then turn on this button, which is the APU starter. You will now see on the screen that the APU ECAM, in the lower ECAM, you can see now the flap is open, and plus the APU is starting. We will wait for this APU to stabilize, and once the APU is stabilized and available, we will then turn on the APU bleed and will cut off the external power and call off the ground service, and then we will go for the pushback. Okay, now you can see the APU is now available, and I can turn on the APU bleed on. So this APU bleed is now on. Now let's turn off the external power, because now the plane is running on its own electricity, and we can go to this ground service and we can call off the external power. And you can see the GP is now disconnected from the plane. So this is the tug. Now we will call this tug for the pushback, and then the pushback will start. After the pushback, I'll just give you the visuals. The runway 34 left is over here. 30 left, sorry, not 34. 34 right is the runway for the Qatar airport. Right now we're taking off from 30 left. So this is the 30 left airport. So I will just request the pushback straight. And then somewhere at this point we will turn the plane towards from the pilot's perspective towards the right side. You always imagine the pushback from this side, not like this. So it's not turning towards left, it's rather turning towards right. So this is something basic, just wanted to tell you. Okay, now this is all done. I will now I'm just looking at the checklist just to ensure that I have not missed on anything. Now I will call in for the tug. Just click this button and you will see this tug moving. Let's go out and see what this tug is doing. So let's wait for it to be connected to the plane. Once the tug is connected, but before this, I just want to show you something. I'll just pause the simulation over here, and I will go to assistance options, and I will go to the navigation aids. You can see that all of the settings in my assistance options are set to hard or to manual. To hard. And the reason being, I'm just using the real life experience or the most difficult part to fly the plane. I'm just not using any assistance except for the taxi. The routes and waypoints, it's off. Otherwise, if you turn them on, you can just see the waypoints and the airways from where you can to which you can just fly, and you can land your plane. You don't have to even make a flight plan. It's very easy. But I've turned them off because I'm using SimBrief or the Microsoft Flight Simulator flight planning for the flight planning. But for the taxi, I'm using this option, because once you are taxiing, the tower ATC tells you the taxiways through which you will be taxiing to the runway. It's kind of difficult for me to understand, and for some airports I'm really comfortable with, especially the Karachi airport or the Islamabad airport or the Dubai airport, because I've been flying a lot on these airports, so I know the taxiways and the runways from where I'll be taking off. But for most of the runway airports, definitely I'm not really sure about that. So I've always keep this option on, so once I've landed or before the takeoff and I'm taxiing to the runway, I know where to go. So this ribbon shows me which is easy. Otherwise you can turn it all on or off as per your requirements. So let's go back. This was just simply something basic I wanted to tell you. Now as the tug is there, I will just go back to the cockpit. Okay, and I will release the parking brake, because right now the parking brake was on. I will release the parking brakes, and then I will ask the tug to push back straight. You can see the pushback has now started. As I told you, there will be this yellow taxi line which we will be taxiing on, and from there I will ask the tug to turn right. Right now during the pushback we can start the engine procedure, or maybe it's a tutorial as I'm taking through the basics, so let's not hurry into the things. We have enough time. We are not flying in real life, so nothing to be really worried about. All the doors are closed, obviously that's why the pushback has started. The fuel pumps, my previous video I forgot to turn on the fuel pumps. Okay, so now you have to practice this option, because after the pushback and after turning right, you should be aligned with this yellow line, the taxi line that you can see on the left side of your screen from here. I'm trying to remember at what point I should ask the tug to turn the plane right, so that I'm perfectly aligned with this line, because as you know in the real life you're perfectly aligned with it. I've seen a mod in X-Plane 11 where you can draw your pushback path, but I think in Microsoft Flight Simulator there's no plugin like that. Anyhow, it's time to call it to turn the tug towards right, and now we are turning towards right. I think again I've missed this line. We should have done it before this line. Anyhow, just to tell you the basics, or just to take you through the basics. Yes, we are late. I'm just trying to learn this technique. I really get little time to fly the planes in Microsoft Flight Simulator due to my job, because all day long I'm just busy with the job. Now let's ask the tug to stop. That's it, and you have to get your parking brakes on, and then we can ask the tug to leave. Yes, you can see the tug leaving. Now it's time to turn on the engines. You will see over here in this panel, you will see engine mode selector. It is right now set to norm. You have to move it to start. Okay, so just move it to start. Now as you have done this, then you will start your engine 2, which is on the right side. Just turn it on, and on the screen you will see this N2% increasing. It will stabilize at 58.8 if I'm not wrong, and then your engines are up and running. Let's go back and see if the engine is running. Okay, now your engine 2 is running. Let's go back and wait for it to stabilize, and then we will turn on the engine 1. Let's look at the screen. No, I think it will stabilize at 63. Oh, 68 if I'm not wrong. I think it's 68, not 58. Yes, now the engine is available, and it will stabilize at 69.7. Now it's time to turn on the engine 1 also. So engine 1 is also running. Let's go out and see. Nice plane. This plane is a nice, wonderful plane. I've been able to fly in this plane from FlyNAS. I've, I think, taken 2 or 3 flights with A320 Neo. So it was a good experience. Nice plane. There's this video on my channel as well. Okay, let's go back and get back into the cockpit and wait for the available sign to come off. Right now, I'll just go to the ATC, not ATCU, ATC, and I will go back to clearance and I will ask for the taxi IFR. Just to keep this video short and simple, I've skipped many things. Just I've been touching the basic things so that you can just simply take the plane up in the air. And if you want to spice up the things and you want to really get into the details and everything, you want to learn many things, then you can use the checklist which is given over here in the Microsoft Flight Simulator. You can use it. Okay, so we have to acknowledge the moment I've taken the taxi IFR clearance, you can see this ribbon coming over here, which is giving me the direction to the taxiway and then onto the runway. So I will be following this this blue ribbon. Okay, now I think our engine 1 is also stable. That's it. I will just also extend the flaps now for the takeoff. Set to 1, position 1. You can see it's position 1, and over here you can see the flaps are getting extended. So now once the flaps are extended, the engines are available. We don't need the APU, so I will turn it off. Okay, so the APU is off, the APU bleed is off, we don't need it anymore. After the landing, I will again turn on the APU so that after the parking, when I turn off the engines and before the ground power unit is connected, we have power. So I will, after the landing, I will turn on the APU and we will repeat this procedure. And after the GPU is connected, the ground power unit at Qatar International Airport, then I will turn off the APU as well again, and then we will run it on the power given from the ground power unit. So here it is. Now release the parking brakes and let's taxi. At this point, I will give the ATC communication to the AI of the simulator. That's it. So we don't have to now worry about that. So let's give some power. Remember, your engine power should be around about 25 or 24. Yeah, not much, because you don't want to taxi at a very high speed. You won't be able to take the turns. So just keep this thing in your mind, the slow speed. And let's follow this ribbon. You can use the rudder to control the plane. I'm using Logitech Extreme 3D stick for flying. So in this, if you turn the stick on your axis left and right, the rudders are moved and you can move your plane. Apply some brakes to reduce the speed, and then turn left from here. So this assistance is good. For the taxi, I'm just using this assistance, which is a good option. Now before the runway 30 right. Okay, I selected 30 right for the takeoff, not left. Why? I don't know why I was saying left while I was showing you the diagram for the taxi. I'm always getting confused. I select the runways myself, and then during the video I'm always confused between left and right. So takeoff is from right, 30 right. Okay, not left, and the landing is also at 34 right. Okay. So that's it. I think after this left turn, we will stop before the yellow line to get the clearance for the takeoff. Here we are, 30 right. And let's stop over here.
Dubai Tower Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320 ready for departure runway 30 right IFR to Oscar Tango Hotel Hotel.
Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320 altimeter 30.
Okay, now set your altimeter, your barometric pressure to 300.00. The plane actually measures the altitude of the plane as per the barometric pressure. So you set a standard barometric pressure, right, a baseline barometric pressure from where the plane will be able to calculate the altitude of the plane. So that's why it's always important in Microsoft Flight Simulator and plus other simulators also to set your altimeter, because then you are at the right altitude. Otherwise, you will not be flying at the right one. So after 10,000 feet, we will be changing it to standard, which is 29.92. This is something basic. I've covered this part also in my other videos, but just for this video, I'm just trying to keep it simple, and we will just go to 30.00 as communicated by the ATC. Now let's release the brakes and let's head towards the runway. So after the takeoff, we will climb up to 6,000 feet, and the speed will be there are two modes selected and managed mode. I will also tell you once. Let's set the view. Okay, so after the takeoff, I will be at 230 knots. Below 10,000 feet, you're always at 230. Don't go more than 230. And plus, I think on this route, the tower also tells you to the speed at which you should be flying. But currently, at below 10,000 feet, you should not be more than 230 knots. And after 10,000 feet, I will increase the speed. So let's keep it at 230 knots. Okay, I will tell you the basics for the selected and for the managed mode in Airbus. Okay, so here we are. Now let's give full power to the engines, and let's take this plane up in the air towards Hamad International Airport, Qatar. Let's go. If you look at the PFD, you will also see the V1, VR and V2. So after V1, I will be rotating back on the stick to take this plane up in the air. And once we have a positive climb of rate, I will take the gears up. Okay, so now this is V1, the cross V1. So now rotate. That's it, positive rate of climb. Just take the gears back, and that's it. Now adjust the vertical speed, your climb of rate, in such a way that the plane speed is increasing. Right now the vertical speed was very high. You can see on the PFD that the speed was not increasing. Just look at this yellow arrow, it means the speed is increasing. So you have to maintain the climb rate in such a way that the speed keeps on increasing. And at 1500 feet, I will reduce the thrust to climb, as I told you before. Right now it is set to toga. You'll also hear the beeps. Okay, at 1500, I think you should hear the beeps. Yes, you can see lever climb. You can see this error or this message blinking. Reduce the thrust to climb, and I'll just show you. Over here, the thrust is now set to climb, which is at a reduced speed at like 83%. So the engine power is not 83%. The speed is, this is the flight path that you have to follow. And right now we are at 2700 feet. The speed is not increasing, so I will push down on the stick in order to decrease the vertical speed so that speed is increasing. Now it's time to turn left from here, so you can see the speed is increasing. And where this red dotted line, you can see the red dotted line, I will just retract the flap so that we can further increase the speed. So right now I'm doing this some manual flying. I'm not going for the autopilot right now, just to head out of the way. So you can see now the speed is now increasing, and we are going to touch this red dotted line. So I will just take back the flaps. You can see the flaps are going. You can see over here the flap position is now set to 0. Okay, now the speed is increasing further. Right now it's time to turn on the autopilot. So turn on the autopilot and you will see the plane is now going to follow the flight path. The plane is now going to level off at 6,000 feet. So if we have a new clearance for the from the ATC to climb to 14,000 feet.
14,000 feet Airbus 320.
So now increase it to 14,000. Now we are going for a selected altitude mode. In Airbus, there are two modes, which is the selected mode and the managed mode. So right now we're going for the selected mode. You can see the plane is now not climbing any further. So I will left click this option, and then I will press on the mouse wheel button. You will see the plane will again start to climb to 14,000 feet. Over here in the PFD, you can see 14,000 feet coming up. The vertical speed is increasing. It is right now at at a very high rate. It's 4,000 feet per minute, roughly 4,100 feet per minute, and the plane is climbing to 14,000 feet. And right now, you can see these two options: the heading option for the navigation, and plus for the speed. You can see this dash line with a dot, with a circle. It means that the speed and the heading is at the managed mode, not at the selected mode. Managed mode means that whatever the information is entered into the MCDU for the flight management system, the plane will actually fly at that. Okay, so if I right now left click and then right click, you will see heading will appear over here. No, it's not appearing. Oh yes. Now you can see this heading is appearing. So it means now whatever the heading I will enter it over here, the plane will follow that heading. So plane will no longer be following this green line, and whatever I will enter it over here, it will follow. But if we again select this option to this dash line plus with the circle, the plane will start to follow this flight path. So this is now the managed mode. And plus for the speed, again, if I click on this, if I select the speed, let's say if I set it to 230 knots, right now you can see it was at 200 and more than 280 knots, because right now the plane is above 10,000 feet, so you can increase the speed. So let's say if I keep it at 260 knots and I press on the left mouse button and I press on the mouse wheel, it is now set to 267. You can see the speed is now reducing. So now whatever the speed I will enter over here, the autopilot will try to follow the speed. Okay, you can see I'm adjusting the speed and the plane is adjusting its speed. Right now if I left click and then right click, you will see this dash line appearing with a dot. So it means whatever the information is entered in the MCDU, the plane will as per that information will set the speed. So it's like very easy, not that difficult. You have to practice it. So it's a selected mode and a managed mode. So right now you can see that the altitude is on the selected mode. Whatever I will select, the plane will fly to that altitude. But for the heading, for the direction and or the navigation, and for the speed, I have given this control to the autopilot to select the speed and the heading itself as per the information in the MCDU for the FMS. Right now you can also see for this option over here, for the barometric pressure, it's blinking. It means we have to turn it to standard, because right now we are above 10,000 feet, which was a transition altitude. We have to set the barometric pressure to standard. So I will click over here, left click, and then I will click on the mouse wheel. This is how the setting is in my system. So it is now set to standard. Standard is 29.92. So it's very easy. So either you can set it to 29.92 or you can click on your left mouse button and then your mouse wheel button in order to set it to standard. So now till the time of descent, the next 10,000 feet while descending, it will always remain at standard. So that's it. So now everything is looking nice. The gears are up. Let's turn off the seatbelt signs. Let's give the liberty to the passengers to walk around. Okay. So right now stabilized at 14,000 feet, and We are not getting further clearance for the climb, so I will ask the tower to give me clearance to further increase my altitude to 24,000 feet, increase by 10,000 feet.
Level 240.
Airbus 320, climb and maintain flight level 220. Expect flight level 240.
Okay, so I've got the clearance for 220, but asking
Climb and maintain flight level 220. Expect flight level 240.
for 24,000 feet, and the tower has asked me to climb up to 22,000 feet and expect 24,000 feet. So I will again adjust the altitude to selected mode, and plus in order to the climb, you can see nothing is happening right now. In order to climb, I will left click and then press on the mouse wheel button. The plane will again start to climb. So that's it. So now once I'm at 22,000 feet, the tower will again ask me to climb up to 24,000 feet, and after 24,000 feet I'll again ask for a cruising altitude increase to 32,000 feet, because this is the cruising altitude that I will be looking forward to. So that's it. I hope you guys have learned a lot from this video. I tell you that I always try to keep it to a very basic level. Every time when I'm making a video, I'm also considering that anyone at a very beginning stage will be also watching this video. So it's easy for them to watch these videos. It's not for those people who are really expert in the flight simulation world or know how to fly. So that's why I just make every video of mine keeping in this mind that the beginners will be using this video for their reference, and that's why I try to keep things very simple. Now the climb rate is 22, which is 2,200 feet per minute. If you go back to this tab and select the first option, you will see even the map. Right now we're just heading towards Qatar. You can see it, and plus you can also zoom in. Zoom out. Okay. $18,300 feet. We can also adjust the vertical speed. Right now you can see the vertical speed is not here. We can also set the vertical speed, the climb rate of the plane, and we can manually do it. But right now I'm just given this liberty to the autopilot to select the climb rate. The climb rate, just a basic. If you are manually using it, remember one thing, that up till 18,000 feet you can climb at a high rate, but after 18,000 feet you have to reduce it to 1,800 or less than that. 1,800 feet you cannot climb at a high rate because the air gets thinner, and plus the plane might get stalled, or the speed will reduce, or more power will be required for the engines to climb. That's why after 18,000 feet you reduce the vertical speed to 1,800 or less. As you can see now, the as the plane is climbing, the vertical speed is getting reduced. Because at a higher altitude, as I told you before, that if your vertical speed is very high, the plane will stall. So that's why you have to keep this thing in your mind. So at 21,000 feet, going for 22,000 feet, but we are expecting a climb of 24,000, and we will climb to 32,000 feet.
Airbus 320, climb and maintain flight level 240.
240. So now I will set it to 240,
Climb and maintain
which is
flight level
24,000 feet,
240.
and left click and then press on the mouse wheel button. This is how my mouse is configured. I can always use the change the configuration of the controls, but anyhow, I'm just keeping it like this because every time I press on the mouse wheel button, it zooms out. I'm so lazy that I'm not getting enough time to reconfigure this control. Maybe I can use some other button on my mouse to do that, because every time I press on the mouse wheel button, it just zooms out. Anyhow, we are now 49,000 feet. This is not good. 24,000, and let's do it again. Now we climb to 24,000 feet. You can see it over here in the primary flight display that the thrust is set to climb. We are climbing. Navigation is done by autopilot, and altitude is set manually by us. So that's why the color is different. Otherwise, it would be green. Now I will again ask the tower to give me a further increase in the altitude by 8,000 feet, so that I am at 32,000 feet.
Emirates Center Airbus 320. Request flight level 320.
Airbus 320, climb and maintain flight level 240, expect flight level 320.
Okay. So now at 24,000 feet,
Maintain flight level 240.
the tower will tell us to climb up to 32,000 feet.
Airbus 320, climb and maintain flight level 320.
320. Okay.
Climb and maintain flight level 320. Airbus
320. Left click, turn on the mouse wheel, and that's it. So that's it. If right now, if you're in the flight plan, if you have selected an altitude, let's say you have a cruising altitude of 35,000, 38,000, and 32,000, as I've selected for this flight, and still if you're not getting clearance from the tower to climb up to that level, you can always ask the tower like this to increase the altitude. This what I figured out, that if we update the flight plan manually or through the SimBrief, this thing happens. If you're using the Microsoft Flight Planning, Microsoft Flight Simulator's flight planning system, then obviously the tower keeps on telling you to increase your altitude to go up to the cruise altitude. But I've seen that if you're using SimBrief for your flight planning, this thing happens. So you can always ask the ATC to give you clearance for the cruising altitude by following the procedure that I've just followed right now. So I'm just waiting for this plane to reach at 32,000 feet. Let's go out and let's have some look. This beautiful plane, very nice. It's honestly a pleasure flying this plane in Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's really nice to fly. Let's go to this mode, the showcase mode. Clear skies. Nowadays it's not raining, even here in the Middle East, and plus, and I think in Pakistan, it's been a long time there is no rain. A nice view. Let's go back into the cockpit and let's enjoy the view of the cockpit as well. Especially, it's a pleasure flying this plane in the night. For my tutorials, I don't use the night mode for the flight, but you can use that and you can experience it. During the night, it's really fun. Okay. So right now at 26,000 feet, climb rate is less than 1,000. Slow climb. Let's. What's happening? This was amazing. I didn't do anything. Is it some kind of a bug? Don't tell me. Don't tell me it's some kind of a bug, I think. I'm not touching this control again. This is something really amazing. I don't know why it's happening.
Airbus 320, please expedite your climb flight level 320.
This is really strange. I think my... Is my controller broken? No, it's not. Up till now, everything was fine. Everything was going perfectly all right. Speed is drastically reducing. Okay. Let's not touch anything for some time and let's see what happens. This is something really strange. Never happened before.
Airbus 320, please expedite your climb flight level 320.
I think there is this some kind of a bug. Really amazing. I'm amazed. Okay, let's give it some time. Let's give it some time to stabilize. Let's see if it stabilizes or not. Now. Okay.
Airbus 320, please expedite your climb flight level 320.
It's amazing. Never happened before. Let's go out and see what's happening. Is the plane really going up and down? Three days back or 4 days back, it was perfectly going all right, and now suddenly there is an issue. I think my whole effort of making a nice video for this simulator is just simply going down the drain. It should not be acting like this. What I'll do is this right now. Let's adjust the speed manually. Okay, let's not give it to the autopilot. Let's set it ourselves. So I'm going to set it at now 260. Let's do it like this. Let's see. Now the thrust is set to climb. The speed is increasing. I think amazing.
Please expedite your climb flight level 320.
I'm touching no controls, nothing, and three, 4 days back it was all right. I think I did a flight a few days back and it was perfectly all right. Everything was going good, but somehow right now there is an issue.
Airbus 320, please expedite your climb flight level 320.
Okay, let's do one thing. Let's try to find a quick fix to this. Let's ask for the decrease in altitude by 10,000 feet. Let's keep it at 22,000 feet.
Airbus 320. Request flight level 220.
So I've requested for 220.
And then maintain flight level 220.
Descend and maintain flight level 220 Airbus 320.
Okay. Now the flight level is now set to 220. Let's see if this issue is fixed at 220, because up till 25,000 feet everything was good. No, it just keeps on going up and down. I think there is this bug. Now it has started to go down. Interesting. These bugs are there in the Microsoft Flight Simulator. Although, I don't know why these things happen. I also have this Captain Sim 777 and 777-300. It also has the same issue. It just keeps on climbing. And if you ask the autopilot to descend, it will not. So I think the quick fix to this issue is to keep the altitude below 25,000 feet. I think, because as soon as I was below 25,000 feet, everything is looking good. And what if I try to climb up to 25,000? Let's ask for a climb increase in altitude by 5,000. Let's see.
Emirates Center Airbus 320. Request flight level 270.
Not 270.
Airbus 320, climb and maintain flight level 270.
Let's keep it at 24,000. Let's see what happens.
Climb and maintain flight level 270 Airbus 320.
By 3,000 feet. So 24,000. Let's keep it at
Emirates
24,000.
Center Airbus 320. Request flight level 240.
Airbus 320, climb and maintain flight level 240.
Okay, I will keep it at 240.
Climb and
Let's see
maintain
what
flight
happens.
level 240 Airbus 320.
So right now I've set the altitude to 240. Let's see, because I think above 25,000 feet there was an issue. So I think below 24,000 feet everything is 25,000 feet everything is good. And let's also keep the speed to managed to the managed mode. Left click and then right click. It is now in the managed mode. So now the speed is roughly 290 knots. The plane is climbing to 240, flight level 240, which is 24,000 feet. This vertical speed is reduced a bit because now the speed is increasing. I think the plane will now stabilize at 24,000 feet and there will be no issue. So this is kind of a quick fix that I've just found on my way to Qatar. If you also face this issue, you can do this. I don't know, it was really amazing. Speed is increasing, and as soon as the plane is at this speed, then it will start to climb again. 900 feet to go. At 24,000 feet I will again try to climb to 28,000 feet and let's see what happens. If the same issue appears again, it means there is an issue. Okay, let's see. Text to speech services are unavailable. Thank you. Switching to offline text to speech. The voice also changes as if somebody is having a bad throat day. Okay, so below 25,000 feet everything is looking good. Connection lost. Okay, thank you. I just ignored this error. Okay, till 24,000 feet everything is good. So the plane will now stabilize at 24,000 feet. What clearance we got? Airbus Bahrain Center continue. Okay, so just it was a handover to Bahrain. Okay, now the plane has leveled off. Okay, everything is looking good so far. No crazy stuff going on over here. No crazy stuff with the engines. Okay, what I'll do is this. I'll ask for the altitude increase by 4,000 feet. Let's see what happens.
Terrain Center Airbus 320. Request flight level 280.
Airbus 320, climb and maintain flight level 280.
Climb and maintain flight level 280. Airbus 320.
Okay. Now I've set to 49,000 feet. 280. Let's bring it down. 280 and then click on left click. Okay. Now let's see what happens. Now the plane has started to climb up again. Let's see what happens. So now we're climbing up to 28,000 feet. Flight level 280. Let's see what happens. So last time we saw this issue at 26,000 feet. Let's see what happens.
Airbus 320, descent and maintain 16,000 feet.
Descent and maintain 16,000 feet. Airbus 320.
Anyhow, we've got the clearance to descend. So right now things are looking good. I don't know why that issue happened. Maybe it was some slight bug, but right now we are at 25,000 feet, but things are looking good so far. So now we have been asked by the tower to descend and maintain 16,000 feet. So I will now descend to 16,000 feet. I will try to find out why this issue is happening. Maybe after this video I will try to make another video. So right now I will start my descent to 16,000 feet. I will select it, left click and then press on the left mouse button, and that's it. Now the plane will start to descend to 16,000 feet. We are near the Hamad International Airport. Just you can see this is the procedure for the landing. Just turn on this button, constraints, and you will see the different flight levels you should be at and different speeds that you should be at. So let's say at this waypoint you should be at 12,000 feet, flight level 120, and your speed should not be more than 220 knots. Okay, so this is a good guidance. I always turn it on at the time of approach. I think this is Qatar. You can see it over here. Yes. So we are approaching Qatar, and the runway, it's a nice runway. I've not landed here in the daylight. I've always been doing some night landings, which is also good, but today I'm doing it in the daylight. And let's go out. Nice and clean weather. Some little issue in this video. Anyhow, you can try different things. It is kind of very disturbing. I don't have enough time and the patience to do this video again. Without this bug. But what I'll do is this, right now after this video, I will again do this flight and try to climb to 35 or 36,000 feet and see. Let's see what happens above 25,000 feet. But I think below 25,000 feet, everything is working perfectly. All right, everything is fine. There is no issue. So yes, everything is looking good so far. In the last few days, I've been trying to just like learn how to land plane nicely. Just a disclaimer I'm giving you before the landing that I'm very bad at landings. If you watch my other videos, you will see the way I've been landing. It's for all the lousy landings. Nothing is good, but thank you everyone for your patience and not criticizing the way I land my plane. Maybe there are one or two criticisms, but very productive ones, which have encouraged me to learn how to land a plane perfectly without any issues. So I am just trying to practice it. Successfully connected. Thank you very much. This connection keeps on connecting and disconnecting. I don't know. My internet connection is totally stable. Every time when I'm playing this Microsoft Flight Simulator, this thing keeps on happening. I don't know. Maybe after the next update, these issues are also fixed. Okay, anyhow, so we are at right now 17,000 feet, 17,500, going for 16,000 feet. And the plane is now turning right towards the next waypoint, which is MoveX. You can see it over here in the flight plan as well. So we are just moving on to this waypoint. The speed is reducing as now we are descending. Okay, so the speed should be over here till 220. What I'll do is this, that I will now set the speed to 220 and I will now try to manage the speed manually. I will not just give this control to the autopilot. Let's go with the selected mode. Okay, so I'm going with the selected mode. 220 knots. Okay. And now we have got the clearance to descend to 6,000 feet. So I will now descend to 6,000 feet. So from 16,000, I will change it to 6,000. And left click and then left mouse button. Sorry, press on the wheel. Mouse wheel. 45,000 feet. I don't know. But this is not good. I have to actually change my controls. What's happening? Should not happen during these videos. As I told you before, I don't have the patience to go and to rectify these errors and do these videos again. I hardly get these weekends, and plus making the flight simulation videos is one of the most difficult videos to make, because it's like an original flight and you have to patiently sit and go through the whole procedures. So I don't have the patience to just go and do it again, because this weekend I was planning to do 3 or 4 videos. I will just make more videos and I will try to cover more airports. So that's why I am in a bit of a hurry. Okay, so now I am at 220 knots. I can take the flaps. I can take it 230. I can take 1. Okay, so let's lower the flaps by 1 notch. As I told you before, when you take flaps, it also provides you a lift at the low speed, so that your plane is able to fly at a lower speed. Otherwise, if you keep on reducing the speed at a certain speed, the plane will stall. This is shown over here, the PFD. Before landing, I will show you the speed at which the plane will stall. Plus, during descent, drag is created with the help of flaps. So that's why the plane is able to descend at a higher rate. So if you are descending at a slow speed, the vertical speed is very high while descending, and you can reach to your altitude very fast. Right now I'm at 14,000 feet and going for 6,000 feet. We have enough ground to cover, so nothing to be worried about. Descending at 1900 feet per minute. Let's reduce the speed further to 180. I'll just do one trick and just reduce the speed to 180. I'll just apply the air brakes. I want to descend at a very high rate, so no, I'll just engage the brakes and apply them. They're configured on my Logitech 3D Extreme stick. Now you can see the speed is reducing at a high rate. I can take more flaps, and you can see the plane is stabilizing because the speed is reducing, and then afterwards the plane will start to descend at a high rate, if I'm not wrong. Now I'm at 180. The speed has, I can release the brakes right now, and if you go out you can see the brakes being applied. These are the spoilers or the air brakes, you can see. and the flaps are now extended. So I will now disarm the air brakes. Let's go back into the cockpit and see if they are disarmed. Okay, now disarm them, and you can see the plane is now descending at a good rate. It was initially at 1900, still at 1900. I don't want to be at a higher altitude after this turn. I should be at 6,000 feet. Let's go out and let's see. Okay, now the air brakes are disarmed. Now, one thing I would like to tell you is this, that there is an issue while going for an approach for this airport. The plane keeps you to be at 6,000 feet, but I will descend to 3,000 feet. Okay, so below 10,000 feet, I will set the altimeter to 30.06 as given by the Doha approach, 30.06. So below 10,000 feet, we will adjust that. $7,000 feet to go. By this waypoint, you should be at 3,000 feet. You can see. I don't know, somehow while going for this approach, what you say for the Doha approach, the tower gives you clearance for 6,000 feet. I don't know when they give clearance for the 3,000. I have not waited for that, because if right now at this point in time you are not at 3,000 feet, you will be higher in altitude and you will miss the glide slope. So that's why you have to be very careful. So while doing this approach for Qatar airport, remember to be at 3,000 feet up till this point. So I think I should be at 3,000 feet by this point. If I'm not wrong, if I'm not there, then it's, I think, going to be a disaster, but somehow I'll try to manage that. Let's turn on this ILS information on LS. You can see these two diamonds appearing. If this diamond is below the vertical diamond, if it is below this line, it means we are coming at a very high altitude. We should be lower, at a lower altitude. So 5,000 feet to go, and the plane is descending, up till this point, if we are also again at 3,000 feet, we are at a very safe altitude. It's better to approach the runway at a lower altitude than approaching the runway at a higher altitude. And plus, you can see over here as well that the standard is blinking. It means we have to set our barometric pressure to 30.06 and convert it from standard. So I will left click and then right click, and 30.06 it is. 30.06 if I'm not wrong. Let's cross check. 30.06. So the glide slope is basically the point from where the ILS starts. That's the instrument landing system, and this is where the plane will start to descend towards the runway. It's basically the angle that the plane takes to land. I think now we are aligning with the runway. You can see this horizontal bar as well, diamond. If we are horizontally aligned with the runway, it's there. Then this diamond will be in the center over here. 3,000 feet to go. You can see now we are getting aligned with the runway. So this horizontal bar, you will see this diamond in the middle. It means we are horizontally aligned with the runway. And for the glide slope, we are coming at a higher altitude. We should be at a lower altitude. I think it will just come right now. It's at 5,800. I hope it's not going to be a disaster during the landing. We still have some ground to cover. By this point, we should be at 3,000 feet. So I think we are going for a very safe approach. Hopefully, things will not go out of control. Let's reduce the speed to 170. The flap is set to position 2, and below 2,500 feet I will lower the gears, and then I will extend the flaps to full for landing. As I reduce the speed, so that's why the vertical speed reduced, so that the plane can reduce the speed. But now it is at 170 knots, and then again the descent has started. So 2,000 feet to go, and I know I'll just keep on ignoring that. If you hear this issue, or this error, just keep on ignoring that. I think we are coming very high. We are coming high because at this point I'll just set it manually. So now I've set the vertical speed manually. I've set it to 2100. I'll set it to 2500, 2700 or 3000. I will descend at a very high rate at 3000, so that before this point I'm at 3000. You will see this no, and let's go further. Let's set it to 2000. Actually, for the proper ILS, this diamond should be over here. So the tower told me and gave me some wrong readings. So now I am descending at a very high rate at 2200 feet per minute. I'll keep it at 2200 feet per minute. You can see this diamond is now going up. As soon as it is here, I will turn on this approach button. So right now, if you face this issue and you're approaching a runway at a very high altitude, you can always set this option. I will set it to 1000. I will descend. No. I hope it's not going to be a disaster. There have been some issues during this video. Nice that you also guys saw this. So now you know how to manage this if you face this issue. So I'm now descending to 1000 feet at 2200 feet per minute. So as soon as this diamond is over here in the middle, I will press this approach button further. Let's take the gears down and full flaps for landing. You are hearing this error because the gears are not properly down and I took the flaps. That's why this error was there. Now the plane will further start to descend. What if I turn on the approach? So I've turned on the approach. We will be slightly higher during the approach on the runway, but anyhow, you can see. So this diamond is now here. So it means we are properly aligned with the runway. So we will not miss the approach. So now after turning on the approach, we are on the right path. So remember, if you are going for Doha, don't try to descend to 6,000 feet. Try to descend to 3,000 feet and try to start your descent way before the point from where I have started the descent, because this is the issue that I faced. Now I'll reduce the speed to 150 because I will not be approaching the runway at a very high speed. The speed is now reduced. If required, you can use the speed brakes as well. I hope everything is good. You can see over here the category 3 ILS is now activated. Some manual flight adjustments I've been doing. I think you guys must have learned a few things from this video. If not, I'm really sorry for that. I've just tried to cover everything. So the category 3 ILS is really helpful. It really aligns you with the runway, so you can just keep on reducing your speed. You can always disengage the autopilot and you can go for manual landing. So here is the runway coming in slow. Speed is under control. We have finally landed. So perfectly aligned with the runway, coming exactly at the right touch point. And now I can disengage the autopilot and just pull back on the stick a little bit just to have a nice smooth touchdown. Now there's a touchdown and just reverse thrust on. You can see the speed is now reducing, and with this I can always go to the ATCU and right now this option is not coming. It's time to. Okay, so reverse thrust, basically this is the, I'll just pause it a bit. I'll just press P. No, it's not pausing. Okay, now we have a clearance for the gates. You can see this now. This ribbon is coming. After the landing, I turn on the reverse thrusters, which is over here, the settings. If you go back, like this is the reverse thrusters. They were on. Now just go back and let's see. So I can now apply the brakes. With this, what I'll do is this right now. I will also start the APU. So it's time to turn on the APU. I'm sorry, I'm just doing 2-3 things at the same time. And turn on the master switch on as well, because we want APU as soon as we are at the gates. Acknowledge handoff. Okay. Okay, so I'm going slightly high at a higher speed. That's why I've reduced the speed so that we can just turn. Sorry, not so much power, a little bit of power, so that the plane can move. Okay. So I think we have the clearance for the gates. We have got an automatic clearance. Let's see if I can tune into ground and request taxi to the gates. Okay. I will turn this ATC off. Okay, so we have got clearance for gate. So let's check if the APU is available. So now you can see the APU is not available, so we can turn on the APU bleed. So as soon as I'm parked at the gates, I will turn off the engines, and then the plane is on APU running on the auxiliary power unit. Then I will call for the ground power unit, and then from there you will see the MCDU will be reset. And from there we can again go back to SimBrief. We can have make this flight plan from Doha to Dubai, and we'll do this flight again. Cruise altitude will set to 32,000 feet. On our way back, we will check if we have this issue or not. Okay, so acknowledge taxi clearance. Okay. So if you go in the checklist over here, you will also see the checklist after the landing as well, which you can follow on your own time. But for this video, I'm just trying to keep things, as I told you before, simple, not getting into so much details, because obviously it's going to be a long flight going from Dubai to Qatar and then coming back, so it will take some time. That issue during the flight, I don't know, it's still bugging me. I'll just try 1 or 2 more flights today, and let's see if this issue is happening again or not. Right now I'm texting to the gate. I don't know where is the gate. Is it outside the airport in the main city? Where it is? It's very far. Anyhow, let's see. I've been doing landings in Qatar in the night time. Okay, so there's a traffic, so I'll just ignore that. I don't have enough time. But if you hear this, just stop, and then I think after some time you'll get the clearance. So the gate is on the left, as you can see. Okay, I will acknowledge that. I forgot I turned off the AI, because right now I just want to do the communication myself. Okay, so this is the Hamad International Airport for Qatar. I will park at the gate, and it's very far. Long taxi. Landing was smooth. Mishap was about to happen, but I just quickly managed that. As you can see, if you are also facing the same issue, you can set the vertical speed to manual, and you can just try to adjust things manually. if you have some issue like that. Hopefully on the way back there is no issue like that. Oh, it's kind of a very remote gate. It's I think no, we are at the right side. Okay. So here I am at the gate. Just stopped a little bit so that the speed is reduced, and now from here I'll just give a little bit of power because I have to. Okay, as you can see there's some traffic, that's why I'm getting this issue, so that's why I will not hold. Sorry, I just accidentally turned on the reverse thrusters. Actually, it's there in my Logitech Extreme 3D flying stick, and if I just pull back fully on the throttles, my reverse thrusters are on. So this is some issue that I also face. I've been okay. I will acknowledge. Just let me park. Okay, so here is the gate, jetway. You can see. So I think this will be the right place to park. Like this. It's time to stop. Okay. Now, after stopping, let's apply the parking brakes, and let's first of all acknowledge so that we don't hear this anymore. As you can see now, APU is up and running. So if I turn off the engines, the plane will be on the power. So now the engines are off. Let's check one thing. If I go to init, you can see the MCDU is again reset. So we are now reset for the next flight. Can I call in for the jetway? Let's see if I go back, and if I go to ground service, and if I call in for the jetway connection. Am I parked at the right point or not? Let's see if I'm oh yes, good, nice parking. I am impressed. Okay, now I will now go back and over here I will just go to the cockpit, and what I'll do is this. I'll call in for the ground service for the external power. Oh, it's not available. Let's see. Power supply. Okay, we can call in from here if it's not available from the tab. So you can see now the ground power unit GPU is also coming, and it will be connected. It cannot find the right place to park, I think. Okay. Why air brakes are up? Well, let's go back to the cockpit. Air brakes, why they are up? Okay. I don't know why. And let's take the flaps back. Oh, sorry. They were the full flaps for the landing. We forgot to take back the flaps. We should be take the flaps back, and the throttle should be set to 0 once we are on the ground. It's better we went out. Just one of the few things that I've just skipped. Okay, now the ground power unit is connected, so that now I can call in for the ground service. Ground power. I can turn on the external power. So I can now turn on the external power, and I can turn off the APU. Okay. Now the plane is up and running on the ground power. Now the jetway is connected. I can also call in for the baggage service.
Ground Airbus, could you please send the baggage?
Airbus baggage is on the way.
And now I can also call in for the catering service.
Ground Airbus, could you please send the catering truck?
So now you will see the baggage and the catering is also coming. We forgot to do this at the Dubai International Airport. But the luggage is here, and plus the catering is also here, you can see. So the ground power unit is connected and everything is here. Now what I'll do, I'll just go back. Now after the landing, just a little check, we turned on the APU. Then after the parking, we activated the parking brakes. And as we had the auxiliary power unit, we could turn off the engine. So we turned the engines off, set the engine selector mode to normal. And then I connected the external power, activated the external power and turned off the APU. And in the reverse order, if you'll do everything in the reverse order, we will start the plane. In the ECAM, on the lower screen, you can see the cargo bay is open, and for the last door, this cabin, this door is also open for the catering, and this door is open for the passengers. Now, it's time to populate the MCDU again and make a flight plan. So let's go back to the SimBrief. So here I am in the SimBrief, and I will just go and edit this flight. I will now switch the airports. So I will fly now from OTHH and to OMDB. Airframe, it's already selected. The departure runway will be 16 left. So we landed on 34 right, and while departure we will be using the same runway, but out that will be 16 left. And the arrival runway will be 12 right in Dubai. Okay, so now the flight plan is updated. So let's look at the diagram. So if you're coming from here, this is 34 right, but if you're departing from here, it's 16 left. So I will be flying out from 16 left, and I will be landing in Dubai at 12 right. While flying out, we took off from 30 right, which is this runway on the right side, and this direction is 30 right. But while landing, I'll be just coming in from here, from this direction, and I will be landing at 12 right, if I'm not wrong. Yes, 12 right. Okay, and you can see the alternate airport is already selected, which is OMA, which is Abu Dhabi International Airport. So this flight plan is now good. Passengers, I will set to full. Okay. For this flight plan, I will set it to full. Flight altitude is set to 32,000 feet. Everything is good. And let's generate the OFP. Now the operational flight plan is up. You can see the set and star, everything is up and running. The fuel calculation and the passenger calculation is everything. Now we are in the Microsoft Flight Simulator. And from here I can just go here and repeat the procedures again, which we did in the ground, on the ground in Dubai. Go to AOC menu and request initially for the weather, and let's type OTHH. Just try to do it quickly because we want to save some time. OTHH, and OMDB is the arrival. Here you go. Okay, now send. You can see now the cargo and the catering service is already completed. Do we have any received messages? We'll see company messages received. Received message. This is the. We'll ignore this one. The one at 6:55. The new, sorry. Viewed is at 5:17 and the new one is at 6:55. So we'll look at the new one and we'll print. You can see the printout is coming. If you click this page, you can collect it and it will be displayed over here. So this is OTAR OTHH. Q is 1010. The barometric pressure, you have it. Just a small procedure that you can do. Okay. So these are the two messages. Okay, now go back to the ATSU and AOC. Now, before this, I will go back over here. I will go to this screen and I will connect to SimBrief. And you can see it is now OTHH to OMDB. The time is given, the route is given, zero fuel weight is given, cost index is given, everything is now updated. So we'll go to init press, and we will request init data. It is updated. Okay, that's good. Let's go back to the AOC menu and go to the weight and balance. Request. So refuel. The load. You can see the refueling 4,600. Let's call in for the fuel. Fuel supply.
Ground Airbus, could you please send a fuel truck?
Airbus, a fuel truck is on the road.
So total passengers, we can request boarding. We can start the boarding. I think passengers are full. They're only the plane because the jet was connected. Okay, so let's go back to init and init request. Let's select this. You can see everything is now updated. So let's now from here, I will go on to the init B page, and I will check for the zero fuel weight and zero fuel weight center of gravity. Let's confirm the block. So init and init B, I've done it. And then let's go to the flight plan, click on OTHH and select the departure. Departure will be 16 left, and let's select the SID. It is ALSE1M. ALSE1M. I'll select this departure, insert, and let's go back to the destination and select arrival. Arrival will be 12 right, ILS 12 right, and let's select the start, which is VUTE 3E. Let's see if we can find it. 3E. VUTE 3E. Okay, insert. Let's go over here and let's go to this plan, and let's see if it is, the flight plan is properly updated. Sorry, first go to the flight plan and then scroll using the up button. Proper procedure is updated and everything is good. Let's go to performance, and similar, same thing as I told you before, 1/0.5 up. Oh, sorry. Yes, it is there. Now the flex to temperature. What is the temperature outside? As the temperature is 23 degrees. Let's keep it at 30. Doesn't make a difference. You can study it on your own, how to select the flex temperature and do all these calculations. So V1 is 135, rotation is at 136 knots, and V2 is 140. As I told you before, V1 is the speed at which we can stop and abort the takeoff, and we can stop before the runway ends. 136 is the speed at which we will be rotating the stick and taking the plane back on in the air. Let's go out and let's see if we have a fuel truck. Is the fuel tracker here? At times it comes very slow. Where is the fuel truck? I think this is the fuel truck. Am I right? Yes. I should have called in before. Anyhow, today the speed is good. Otherwise, this truck. Oh, now it slows down. Once it's near the plane, it's very slow. So I will wait for this fuel truck to arrive. No. Oh. There's some movement. Now it will connect itself to the plane and the refueling will start. So that's how you land at an airport. You do the refueling, get the luggage, get the passengers, get the catering for the food, and then you refuel and you head back towards the airport from where you started your journey. So with the help of the SimBrief, you don't have to basically exit the flight. Because if you're using the Microsoft Flight Simulator flight planning, you have to exit the flight and you have to make a flight plan again and then continue with the flight. So now you can see the fueling is done. Okay, so let's go back and let's get back into the cockpit. Now I will go with the startup procedures and for the pushback. But before this, let's call off the jetway because now the passengers are there. Jetway disconnection.
Ground Airbus, could you please disconnect the jetway from the aircraft?
So the jetway is now disconnected and you can see this door is now closed. And the lower ECAM, and then you can end.
Ground Airbus, I am done with power.
Oh, I had to end the fuel supply. I just ended the power supply. Anyhow, before sending away the power truck, you had to basically turn off the external power. My bad. Anyhow, we'll start the APU and we'll start the master APU switch because after this procedure, I was supposed to call off the truck after disconnecting the external power. So right now the APU is running. So the jetway is disconnected, all of the doors are closed, catering is done, baggage is done. Now it's time for the pushback. Can I just go here and go back to the clearance, and can I go for IFR clearance for instrument?
Ground Airbus IFR to Dubai, ready to copy.
Airbus is cleared to Dubai Airport as filed. Take off runway 34 left climb and maintain 7,000 feet. Departure frequency is 126 decibel 7 squawk by 617.
So we have a clearance for 7,000 feet. So let's set 7,000 feet over here. Okay. APU available. Now you can see the APU is available. Over here you will also see available. So I can turn on the APU bleed. Truck we have already called off. Yes, I did. Sorry. Let's acknowledge that. And let's turn off the external power. Now the external power is off and the plane is on the APU.
Maintain 7,000 feet.
Now I will just go here and I will release the parking brakes. I will call in for the tug. Let's go to the screen and go to the ground service and call tug. And let's see if the tug is connected. Let's go out and let's see for the tug to be connected to the plane. There is this mod in Explain 11, a plugin for the pushback. It's really good. The tug even talks to the pilot. I've seen some videos. I have not used that plugin. I mostly avoid using different plugins, third-party plugins in the simulator, but that seems to be a good one. I'll try to use that one in Explain 11 as well. So now the tug is connected. We can go for a pushback. And let's do one thing before the pushback. Let's see, do we have to turn left or right? Let's open the map. Okay. Now you can see that I will be taking off from this runway. Okay, so let's ask the tug to take us towards right after the pushback, so that we are headed like this, and then I will move on to this taxiway, and from here we'll move on to this runway for the takeoff. Okay. This is 16 left. Okay. So we'll ask the tug to turn right after the pushback. So now the parking brakes are released, tug is connected, air brakes are applied, flaps there, fuel pumps are on. Yes, the fuel pumps are on, everything is good. One thing, the beacon is already on. I had to turn off the beacon is already on. Strobe set to auto. Taxi lights on. We had to turn off the lights, but somehow I just forgot. I was so much busy in talking to you guys that I forgot to do that. Nav and logo lights are on. Turn on the seatbelt lights, and the no smoking sign is set to auto. Emergency exit signs are on, and that's it. Nothing too much. So let's start the pushback. Now the pushback is there. With the pushback, I will start the engines. Engine mode selector is set to start, and let's turn on the engine 1. During the pushback, we can do that because the beacon light is now on. Everybody on the ground knows that we are going to turn on the engines. So let's save time and let's turn on the engines, and let's wait for it to stabilize, and then I will also turn on the engine 1. Now as the pushback is going on, I'll also try to align with the taxi line. Let's see if I'm able to do that this time. Okay, so let's wait for it to stabilize. Thrust is at 0. Everything is good. Okay. Now turn towards right. I think this time I call it a bit early. Anyhow, let's see. You can practice this. I think after lots of practice you will be good with this, and then as soon as we are aligned with this runway, with the taxi line, I will stop the pushback and I will call off the tug. I think it's good. Let's call off the tug and let's engage the parking brakes, and let's see if engine 2 is available. Yes. And let's turn on the engine 1. Is the APU bleed up on? Yes, the APU is on. Let's go out and see if the engine 2 is running. Yes. Engine 2 is running, and we'll wait for engine 1. I am slightly off, but still I can catch this line. Okay. Now go back here and let's call for the taxi.
Ground Airbus with mic ready to taxi IFR.
Now at this point I will give the ATC control to AI. Oh yes, it is with the AI. It's good.
Contact tower on 118.525 when ready.
So let's see if the engine 1 is also up and running. So this is how you land at an airport. You turn off the engines, get your passengers, get your luggage, get the catering, get the fuel, make a flight plan, refresh it, and then just head back towards Dubai. So you can just keep on flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator with the SimBrief, making the flight plans like this, and you'll see it's very easy. It's not that difficult. I heard, but acknowledge. Okay, I acknowledge.
Taxi to and hold short runway 34 left via taxi.
But why
Whiskey 1 hotel
this thing is happening? AI radio communication to ATC is set to AI. Okay. So is it stable now? So it's now stable. I can engine mode selector, I can set it to normal, and then from here I can turn off the APU and APU bleed. Okay, somehow one thing I've found out is this, that during this, when I'm taking off from Qatar International Airport, I don't see the taxiways. So I will be using this map for the taxiway. This is something it's good for your information if you are not really familiar with the Microsoft Flight Simulator and for the taxi. Otherwise, I should see that ribbon, the blue ribbon for the takeoff, but somehow I'm not seeing that. So what I'll do is this: I'll turn on the map, and from here I'll see how to taxi. So I think, if I'm not wrong, we'll just move on to this taxiway over here. Then I will, from here, I'll turn left. I'll go here, and from there I will turn right onto the runway 16 left for the takeoff. Okay. So no, let's keep this map up. Let's not turn it off, and release the parking brakes, and let's start the taxi. Okay. Hopefully we have a smooth taxi towards the runway. There is no issue. Just give a little bit power to the engines, and the plane will start to move. Let's reduce it. As I told you before, let's not keep it more than 24, 25. Little power. And here we go. So now I am taxiing towards the runway to go to Dubai. I've done that a few days back. I was trying this flight, and I think I flew to, I think, 3 or 4 different airports. It was fine. I flew from Dubai to Qatar. Then from Qatar, I flew to Riyadh, King Khalid International Airport, and from there, I think I made a flight to Abu Dhabi, and from there, I made a flight to Islamabad. It was really good. So I was stopping at different airports, refueling, and then just heading back, heading to another airport, not back, but heading to another airport. Okay, so just refer to the map if you are not familiar with the taxiways. I think from here we'll turn right, if I'm not wrong. Okay, so far I think I'm doing things the right way. And from the next turn I will be turning right, then I will go straight and then turn left onto the taxiway. So I will remain in the taxiways. In the night, if you're flying, the taxiways have green lights, so you know where the taxiway is. I hope you have liked this tutorial so far. It's something of your interest, and you would have learned few things from this tutorial. As I've told you before, I've always tried to keep my tutorials really simple for everybody, so that even somebody at a very basic level or starting off can also understand. It's not really for those people who are expert in flying. Obviously, I only touch the basics. I'm not touching really expert topics, because I'm always making my tutorial keeping the beginners in mind. And obviously, I'm not a real life pilot. Whatever I've learned, I learned from the YouTube and by reading different texts. Okay, so now we'll just wait for the next taxiway, so that I will turn left from there. You can read the taxiways from here as well. Somehow I'm not really good at following the taxiways properly, reading it. So that's why I always use the map for my reference. Okay. So now turn left, and then I think another, yeah. Turn left, turn right, and then left. Yes. You can see the altimeter is already set to 30.06. I think it will remain the same during the takeoff, and at landing, I think it's at Dubai International Airport. It was 30.00. A long way to go. It's a long taxi. Oh yes, it's a long way. Remember, after the takeoff, after the landing, it was also a very long way to cover. If you see this option ATIs, if you tune into the ATIs, you'll get the weather report. So always remember that at any airport, if you want to get the weather report, just tune into the ATIs and you will get the weather report, the temperature, and plus the barometric pressures and everything. So I will just head out straight, and then from there I will turn right. And before that, we'll get the clearance for the takeoff. So remember, if you've turned your taxi assistance on, and if somehow due to any reason you don't see the taxi assistance, you can always refer to the map from the top menu. Let's try to climb to 32,000 feet and let's see what happens this time. During my flight back to Dubai, I will not use the selected speed, I will use the managed speed. So I will let the autopilot decide the speed. I will not be entering the speed. I'll be just touching the altitude. Okay, so now it's coming, and here we are. Not turn right from here, but from the next turn. Let's reduce the speed by applying the brakes. And just try to stop before this yellow line for the clearance. 16 left, here you are, so I'll stop here. Let's go for the Ah, 118.525. I cannot get the takeoff clearance. Anyhow, we'll just ignore that. Okay, so let's give some power. Oh, and let's get the flaps. The flaps set to position 1, you can see. So we have the flaps, everything is looking good. Let's take off. Give full throttle and let's head back towards Dubai. This is VR. Let's rotate. Positive rate of climb. So gears up. Let's reduce the vertical speed.
Doha Approach Airbus is type Airbus A320 and 1 miles east of Oscar Tango Hotel 300 feet.
Let the speed
Flight
increase.
following.
Airbus Doha Approach. Squawk 4151.
Squawk 4151 Airbus.
Airbus radar contact 2 miles southeast of Oscar Tango Hotel 1000.
Okay, so we have got the clearance now, and we have the flight following. now reaching at
Doha approach Airbus.
I'm just reducing the vertical speed so that I keep on increasing the speed of the plane. Now it's time to reduce the thrust because we are not at 1500 feet. Reduce the thrust to climb. And you can see it over here. It is now reduced to climb.
Airspace Airbus.
And keep on reducing the vertical speed till the time your speed is up to that red dotted line so that I can take back the flaps. Okay. So now the flaps are up. The plane can further increase the speed, and let's turn on the autopilot, and everything is good. So we are now climbing to 7,000 feet. Let's left click and click on the right on the mouse wheel button, and now the plane will climb to 7,000 feet. That's it. So we are now on our way to Dubai International Airport. Airbus cleared through the Charlie airspace. Everything is good. Impressive. So now the flaps are up, speed brakes are armed, gears are up. Set the air brakes, auto brake to medium. We can set it to max as well before the landing. They are required for the landing. I forgot to touch this point because this landing, the previous one, was a very strange one. Turn off the LS, we don't need that, but remember always to turn on your flight directors during the flight. Okay. Now let's change the navigation and see. So we are there. And one more thing I forgot to tell you. Over here you'll see this chrono. You can set this chrono and you can track your flight time. So 3 seconds into or 4 seconds into the flight. This is one thing you can also do, because I was touching some other basics during this tutorial. That's why I forgot to tell you on this thing. But you can always turn your chrono on during the flight, and you can measure your flight time. So now at 7,000 feet, let's see. Sorry for this. I just kicked my mic. Okay, request IFA clearance for instrument. FB, flight following.
Airbus 10 miles southeast of Oscar Tango Hotel. Hotel request IFR to Dubai, ready to copy.
Airbus is cleared to Dubai Airport as filed. Squawk 4151.
Squawk is 4151. You can see the squawk is already entered over here. 4151. You can, if you can just see. So this is done by the.
Radar contact 7,000 feet. Altimeter 30.06.
Okay, so left click and then press on the mouse wheel button.
And maintain 13,000 feet.
13,000 feet. So here we are.
Turn right heading 070. Proceed on course climb and maintain 13,000 feet Airbus.
So now the plane is climbing to 13,000 feet. Everything is looking good so far. Let's turn off the taxi lights. Strobe lights set to auto. Beacon, let's turn it off. As I told you before, we have to turn it off.
126
Lights, just keep them on. And let's
Airbus is passing
turn off the seatbelt side so that the passengers can just stretch their legs, because we are passing through 10,000 feet.
30.06. Continue to resolve as planned.
Okay, so after this 10,000 feet, I will change the barometric pressure to standard. That's 29.92. And see, it's now blinking. You can see set it to standard. So now it is set to standard, and that's it. After 10,000 feet, the speed is now increasing, as I told you before. Due to the cost index of 28, the speed is at 290. I think if you keep your cost index at 20 or 15, the speed will be at 300 or maybe at 320 knots. Okay, so you can see the constraints and different altitudes at different waypoints. You can turn them off because we will be needing them during the approach or during the landing. Okay, that's it, and everything is looking good so far. So it is very simple to just make a flight plan through SimBrief, enter it into the MCDU of this Flybywire Airbus A320 Neo, and that's it. Unfortunately, in the default Airbus A320 for Microsoft Flight Simulator, this option is not there. You have to manually enter the waypoints and the airway. You have to manually populate your flight plan. But in the Flybywire Sim version, you can just load it from the SimBrief, which is really good and easy. So the thrust is set to climb. Flaps, speed, everything is good. I hope I'm not forgetting anything. I was not referring to the checklist, that's why. So now we have a clearance for the 17,000 feet. Now the IFR
Climb and maintain 17,000
following is really good. 17,000 feet. So now we climb to 17,000 feet. This is good. Really happy. Things are going good. Let's see what happens on our way back. As I told you before, let's see if anything happens above 25,000 feet. I don't know why this issue happened when we were coming to Qatar. I think my simulation was possessed. Just kidding. I don't know. It was very strange. Okay. I thought my whole effort will just go down the drain. Now the plane has leveled off at 17,000 feet, so I will now ask to increase in the altitude by 10,000 feet, so I will just climb to 27,000 feet.
Request flight level 270.
Airbus climb and maintain flight level 270.
So now fingers crossed. Let's see if we face any issue during the climb. Let's go to the map and let's see how far Dubai is from here. We've covered quite a good distance so far. It is a short flight. I think last time when I clocked it, it was 45 or 48 minutes, roughly. Now passing through 20,000 feet.
Airbus contact Emirates Center on 124.8.
It's a handoff, and let's see. Hopefully there's no issue on the way back. Nice view. Some little clouds right now. Nowadays in Middle East, it's not cloudy. Hoping for the rain. Let's see when it rains, because after the rain, the weather gets cold. Right now it's December has started. We're like the third day of December, and still no jackets and sweaters. So it's not really cold. At now 23,000 feet. Now we are entering the danger zone. Closing to 25,000 feet. I think last time when the plane was at 26,000 feet, there was an issue in the climb rate. Let's see what happens. 24,003. I think I was checking Facebook, and there was this one of the pages on Facebook on which somebody has posted this issue. $25,200. Vertical speed is slightly reducing because plane is going at a high speed. If you would have kept your cost index at a higher side, let's say at 30 or 40, the speed would have been lower, slightly lower than the one that is right now, and the vertical speed would be higher. But now as the plane is going at a high speed, that's why the vertical speed is reducing, so that both the speeds are compensated, and plus the plane is also about to level off at 27,000 feet. So right now I can further ask for the ATC to increase my altitude by 5,000 feet, so that I'm at 32,000 feet.
Emirates Center Airbus. Request flight level 320.
Let's turn on the constraints, so that once I'm near these waypoints I can know what altitude I should be at during the descent.
Climb and
Okay, so I think maybe I was disconnected from the online system. Maybe that's why that issue happened. But since then, there's no issue like that. So hopefully, we will not face any issue during a flight back to the way. 26,200. Roughly, I think we were at the same altitude when the same thing happened. Let's see. So, everything is looking good so far. Not an issue. It started. It started again at 26,400. Let's keep the altitude at 25,000 feet. Decrease and decrease by 32. So that'll be 7,000 feet. Let's go to...
Center Airbus. Request flight level 250.
It has started happening again. So let's set it to 250. Let's descend to 250. and the online text to speech services are again unavailable. Switching to offline text to speech ATC voices. I don't know. I'll after this video I'll just try to figure out the issue. But right now I will just go to 25,000 feet. Do I have a clearance for 25,000? Yes, 250 flight level 250. So I will level out at 250 and then wait for the ATC to give me clearance for the descent. So if you're flying Flybywire Sim Airbus A320 Neo, remember not to go above 25,000 feet. Yes, cruising altitude is set to 32,000. Anyhow, if it was not even set to 32,000 feet, this thing should not happen. I don't know. Maybe some settings that I'm skipping. I don't know. Maybe after this video, I'll just try to figure out the issue. Anyhow, right now we will level off at 25,000 feet and we will head towards Dubai International Airport, and let's wait for the ATC to give us the clearance to start the descent. So let's wait for that.
Airbus descent and maintain flight level 190.
Descent and maintain flight level 190 Airbus.
Okay, now if we have got the clearance to descend to flight level 190, that is 19,000 feet. So let's start the descent now. 19,000 feet. And during this time, I will also keep an eye on the constraints, that before any constraint that I am at the right altitude. Oh, it's a tough competition. 6,000. So I will be careful this time and try not to be at a higher altitude. We don't want to create any kind of an emergency during the descent. The way it happened while descending to Qatar, because I want to perform a proper ILS. So I should be at 7,000 feet over here. Let's keep it at 7,000 feet. Let's ignore the ATC communication and let's go for 7,000 feet. Okay. As you can see over here in the constraints, it's 7,000 feet, and over at this point it's 210 knots. So also reduce the speed to 210 knots. It's better to be at a lower speed than to be at a high speed and then control it just right. The descent. Okay, now left click and then click on the mouse wheel and no, not 240, 210. So I will reduce the speed to 210, and for a quick speed reduction I will just apply the speed brakes are engaged. I will apply the speed brakes. You can see now the speed is reducing. The vertical speed is slightly reducing. The turn right now, the plane is slightly off the path because the plane was at a high speed. That's why this thing happened. and below 230 knots I can take the flaps, so I will also do that. It's emergency time. We are at 21,000 feet and still some ground to cover. I hope there is no disaster. We still have some room to descend. Over here I should be at 3,000 feet, so let's see if we're able to do that. At this point you can see we can take flaps at this 220 knots. Okay, now as the speed is reducing, yes, I'm doing that, don't worry. I'm doing that. Okay, now I can take the flaps, and with the help of the flaps the speed will reduce and I can just release the airspeed. Air brakes, no need for the air brakes right now because I have the flaps. Okay, just ignore that. It happened because I released the brakes and suddenly there was an increase in the speed because of the air brakes, but now the plane has started its descent. Can I... The tower always gives a very delayed descent indication. There is this issue with the Microsoft Flight Simulator. And yes, I'm doing that. Keep on reducing the speed. Let's take one more flap and let's keep the speed at 190 knots. Okay, now we are at a good speed. We'll have a higher rate of descent. Let's see if before the approach we are at 7,000 feet. I will now adjust it to 3,000 feet. Let's not go to 7,000 feet, rather adjust it at 3,000 feet. Okay, 40,000 feet. What is happening? Again, it is set to 43,000. Why this thing happened? I have to set this thing. I have to somehow adjust this. Let's do it slowly. Left mouse button and then click on the mouse button. Nice and slowly. 3,000 feet. Now it's good. Sorry for this. I think I have to, after this tutorial, I have to go into the controls and I have to set this option to some other button on the mouse because this wheel button is not really helping me out. Okay, right now the pressure is set to standard and some little ground to cover. Now I have clearance for how much? 2,000 feet. Okay, 2,000 feet. So let's 2,000 feet. Okay. Okay, so now I'm at 16,000 feet, slightly high. Let's see. By this point I should be at 3,000 feet. From here I will catch the glide slope for the ILS. Glide slope is the point from where the plane is properly aligned with the runway, and at this altitude the plane will start to descend towards the runway at a certain angle. 15,000 feet, so good, not really bad. I think I will make it. 13,000 feet to go more. Some tension time during the flight. In the actual Airbus A320, there is this terminology that's known as the top of descent, from where you start the descent. You see it on the navigation display. The arrows are appeared over here, and that is the point from where you start the descent. Unfortunately, in Microsoft Flight Simulator, the top of descent is not there because it is indicated by the tower or the ATC. So that's why you don't see the top of descent over here. But if you're using, let's say in Explain 11, if you are flying the flight factor Ultimate Airbus A320 Neo. Over there you will see the top of descent. You see the arrows, so you know when to descend for the runway. What I'll do is this. Right now I will just set the descent rate manually to 2,400 feet per minute. You can see now it's increasing, so I will descend at a high rate. I will not allow the autopilot to decide that, so I will descend at a very high rate. I'll keep it at 3,000. A high descent rate, but unfortunately this is the need of the time right now. Okay, so the plane is giving me error that I'm at a very high speed. Let's keep it at minus 2,700 feet per minute. I'm really sorry to do this, but I shouldn't be doing it, but unfortunately this is how I got the clearance for the descent. You can see now the speed has increased. We are slightly touching the speed limit because of the fact that I am descending at a high rate. So maybe if I set it to 2,500 or maybe, but yes, it has been disregarded. The plane is descending at 1,900 feet per minute. Okay. I'll just keep it at 1,900 then. I'll just keep it at 1,900. Okay. Very bad. The landing and the takeoff, landings both sides was a disaster. Let's take the speed brakes because I've reduced the speed. I will keep it at 160. So that's good that it's happening over here while I'm making this video, and it's not a perfect example of a proper ILS approach. I'm really glad that this thing is happening in front of you guys in this video, so that you should know how to manage your descent if you are coming at a very high altitude. So as my vertical speed is really high, you can see the speed is not reducing, so maybe I can just play around with the vertical speed a bit. I will keep it at 1,300 feet per minute and the speed will reduce. So just keep it at certain level so that your speed is also reducing but the plane is also descending. Okay, so if right now I turn on my LS just to see how well I'm aligned with the runway, you can see that it's not really a good alignment. Over here the horizontal bar is good, but you can see on the vertical I don't see any indicator, so it means I'm coming at a very high altitude. I think it must be here. So 8,000, still some distance to cover over here. At this point I should be at 6,000 feet. So slightly safe, 2,000 feet above the altitude. The barometric pressure is set to standard. Let's see how much. Altimeter is 29.92, so let's change it to 29.92. 29.92. Okay, so now we have also set the altimeter. The speed is reducing to 160. We have the speed brakes. The flaps are already to 2. After I have the gears, I will also extend the flaps to full position. I was 1,000 feet above the given one. Now you can see this diamond is coming. It means I'm at a higher altitude, but slightly high. It's slightly better than the position we were at the Qatar International Airport, the Hamad International for Qatar. So I've increased the vertical speed so that I have a nice rate of descent, so that this diamond is over here. As soon as it's in the middle, I can turn on the approach. Did we see the runway in the airport? Yes, it's there. Let's wait for this diamond to come in the middle. I think it's not that messy this time. Okay, so now as this diamond is in the middle, I can ignore this option. I can wait for the plane to level off at 2,000, because now we are coming into a comfortable range. Eventually this diamond will go up. If this diamond is up, it means we are at a lower altitude, so which is good. As soon as the plane is near the runway, this diamond will come in between. But over here, don't need to worry, as it's already there in the middle. We can turn on the approach, and the plane will start to descend itself towards the runway. Let's see if it works right now. So going for an ILS category 1. You can see the speed is reducing. We can release the air brakes. Now everything is looking good. I can further reduce the speed to 150 knots. Here you can see Burj Khalifa. Let's go out and let's see what's happening. So plane is coming in for the approach. I remember a few months back, I think, yes, not I think, but exactly. In the month of February, I went to Dubai from Pakistan. And this was the same approach that the plane took. It was Boeing 777-300ER by Emirates. I've been flying on Airbus A320 a lot while I was flying from Etihad. And while I'm fly from Flynas, which is one of the airlines from Saudi Arabia. Flynas uses Airbus A320 Neo. And currently in Pakistan, there is this airline Airblue, which has also acquired an Airbus A320 Neo. So now the speed is at 150. We are at a good speed. Right now you can see on your screen over here, this is the speed where the plane will stall. So you don't go below the speed. Otherwise the plane will stall even with the flaps. So flaps are giving us the additional lift. But below the speed, the flaps will also fail. So now after turning on the ILS, for the ILS, we can see the indicators, and now we have turned on the approach. Now the plane is following the proper glide slope. Glide slope is actually the angle. If you see on the screen, the way I'm moving my mouse, the angle is like this. So you touch the runway at the right point. Everything is good so far. Tower, they seem to be happy with me. Select another runway for landing. I don't want to do that. Not another approach. Everything is good. So altitude is 3,200 right now. Wow. Not bad. Somehow I managed to catch the ILS glide slope and do some manual flight adjustments in order to fly it. Okay. So let's see, while landing in Qatar, I forgot, auto brakes should be set to max. Can I set to max? No, but set to medium. Let's click this one more time. So set to medium, and the brakes are turned to, the anti-skid is on. And that's good. Nothing to be worried about. Forgot to turn on the seatbelt signs anyhow. I was maintaining the... let's turn it off. Landing lights. I think in the morning we don't need the landing lights. Okay. What is this issue that we had? No, nothing. I think it's the autopilot. So the plane is now descending. Let the plane descend. I think it will ignore this 2,000 feet mark. Let's see what happens if it doesn't. No, it will not level off at 2,000. So this is good. This is good. And here you are. So now at 2,000, lower the gears. Just wait. And here you go. Now we can take full flaps. As you can see, I've taken the full flaps. That's why the stall speed has reduced a bit. So now we will land at a very nice and slow speed. Wow, everything is looking good. I'm so happy. Let's go out and see. So coming into the way. Landing gears down, runway is aligned, and here you are. Nice round trip from Dubai to Qatar and then back. Let's go back into the cockpit. Let's not miss the action. Okay, so at 1,200, 1,130, 20. Category 3 is now activated. At Category 3, you are perfectly aligned with the runway. don't have to worry about the touch point. You can disengage the autopilot at 100 feet even. So as we did it in Qatar. So it's easy. So we're coming for a Cat 3 landing. ILS. Nice. You can see it's 40 minutes. So I think I turn on the chrono at after 3 or 4 minutes into the flight. So it's roughly 45 minutes of flight. So it's a nice short flight. Today I will be doing another flight from Heathrow to Frankfurt. Let's see. Why I'm getting this error. I'm not expediting my climb to 2000 feet. I am not doing that at any cost. Okay, so now it's 400 feet to go. At 100 I can turn it. Even I can turn off the autopilot right now. I can turn off the autopilot, just pull back on the stick a little bit.
20. Retard.
Okay, smooth landing. I'll just pull back my thrust to the full to activate the reverse thrust. And you can see on your right screen, right side of the screen, the auto brakes are now activated. Now the plane is stopping. I can just turn off the reverse thruster. And some little bit of brakes. Here we are. So right now what I can do is this. I can oh, there is no clearance. So I can just apply some brakes and I haven't got the clearance to land. What? Oh yes, I can now turn on to ground and then I can ask for taxi to gates.
Airbus taxi to gate Alpha 1 using taxiway Kilo Juliet 5 Juliet 4 Zulu Alpha Zulu Juliet 2. Taxiing to gate Alpha.
And here we are. So now I've got the clearance to the taxi to the gates. I can do that, and that's it. Along with this, I can turn on the APU. Thrust is very high. Speed is too fast. Let's apply the brakes and set the thrust to 20. Yes. Okay, so everything is good. Once we have the APU available, I can turn on the APU bleed. Oh, plane is going too fast, just like a sports car. Let's stop it and then try it. The plane was just rolling. Yes, now it's at a reasonable level. Okay, APU is available now. I can turn on the APU bleed so that once we are parked at the gate, I can turn off the engines and then the plane will run on the auxiliary power unit. I have not done this thing before. In any of my videos, taxiing to the gates and then stopping it over there. And plus, in the Microsoft Flight Simulator, you can also set one option that after you are stopped at the gate, you can the flight automatically terminates. So I've turned off that option, and so that I can continue with different flights. So once I'm in Dubai, maybe I can take this plane out for a spin to another country using SimBrief, the same procedure that we carried out at Hamad International Airport in Qatar. We can also do this. Okay, so now I think soon getting there. Where is the gate? It's far. It's at the back. Not in the front.
Airbus hold position, caution of the traffic.
I'll just ignore that. I don't have the time to stop for the traffic. Okay, so here, oh, this bus is coming. They should have stopped the bus, not the plane.
Airbus continue taxi.
Oh, thank you. I will. I have already continued the taxi. The bus actually went through the plane. Okay, now we'll just turn left, and here is the gate. Now I stop and just engage the parking brakes. Move the thrust to 0 and turn off engine. So engines are off. I can call in for the jetway. Ground service. Jetway connection.
To by ground Airbus, could you please connect the jetway to the aircraft?
Okay, let's see if it's getting connected or not.
Airbus, the jetway is going to be connected.
Wow. I should have been here. Anyhow, it's good. We have a good jetway connection, and now I can call in for the ground power unit. Power supply. Let's see if the power supply is coming.
Send a ground power unit.
Airbus, no ground power unit is available.
It is available. It is here, just right here. Let's do it again. Power supply.
To by ground Airbus, could you please send a ground power unit?
Airbus, the ground power unit is on the road.
Oh, it's coming now. So let's wait for the ground power to be connected. Okay, now it's connected. So let's get back to the cockpit and turn on this, and let's turn it off the APU. Now the plane is at with the ground power, and I can with this call in for the baggage service and the catering and everything. So this is it. That was my video for today. I hope you have enjoyed this video and you have learned few things from this video. Do ask me any question in the comment section. If you have a question, I will be more than grateful to answer you that, and hopefully I will be doing more videos on Microsoft Flight Simulator. Therefore just do subscribe to my channel to get the latest updates. Thank you very much for staying with me, and hope to see you soon.